Acara ini didukung oleh Desa Pay, cashlessnya kerabat desa Indonesia.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. I will try my best to keep to time. So thank you so much. It's such a privilege to be invited and to be a part of this panel today. And it was so inspiring to listen to all the women leaders today and their experience of addressing child marriage cases in Indonesia. I'm Aarushi. I'm the Regional Coordinator for Equal Measures 2030, which is
kekerasan terhadap perempuan dan juga pernikahan dini. Saya adalah bagian dari Equal Measure, kumpulan
more usable and available for gender advocates, including media personnel and journalists, to advocate for gender equality in your context. We have partners in Asia, Africa, and Latin America, and KAPAL is one of our partners, and we're very proud to be associated with KAPAL. So today I'm going to spend just a couple of minutes talking to you about the Sdg Gender Index, which is our main flagship tool. We launched it in 2019. It's the most comprehensive index on gender equality that's available globally. It's aligned to the SDGs. It includes 51 gender-sensitive indicators that provide data on 14 out of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals on gender equality. Each goal is covered by 3 to 5 indicators that shed light on progress on key gender issues. The index essentially has a scoring mechanism. So each country, which is, it covers 129 countries from across the world, is given an overall index score and an individual goal level score for the SDGs. This is on a scale of 0 to 100. A score of 100 reflects the achievement of all sort of gender targets, and a score of 50 represents that country is midway. And then anything that's under 59 represents that there is the country's performance is essentially poor, and there is immense sort of need for investment and improvement when it comes to gender equality. This index, as you can see through this visual, shows that each country has their areas of strengths and weaknesses, and that's really the beauty of an index, because if you can look across sort of thematic issues at gender equality holistically and see that from secondary school education to laws related to abortion to women's representation in political processes, it really varies. So even in this, you can see that for every country, there are certain goals where they're performing very well when it comes to gender equality, and there are some goals where there is room for improvement. The scores you can see in the red and the yellow dots are tending towards poorer scores, and the ones that are in green and blue are high performing goals and countries. So what does the Sdg Gender Index say about gender equality globally? It shows that across the 129 countries that the Sdg Gender Index studied, no country has fully achieved the promise of gender equality. As of 2019, no country was close to achieving gender equality. The average index score of all the 129 countries, which represent 95% of the girls and women from across the world, is 65.7 out of 100, which you can tell is in sort of the lower category. Nearly 40%, it means that nearly 40% of the world's girls and women, which are essentially 1.4 billion, live in countries that are failing on gender equality. That is, their score is in a very poor category. So the 2019 Sdg Gender Index indicates that many countries have achieved important milestones towards gender equality in a number of SDGs, such as education, health, access to basic services, legal rights, but many issues remain unaddressed, and they need immediate attention so that women and girls from across the globe can enjoy their rights. So this visual here shows that globally we have more work to do to progress towards gender equality. I think someone is unmuted. If they could mute themselves. There's background noise. Yeah, thank you. So what the message that I want to leave you with is that the world is the furthest behind on gender equality issues. specifically when it comes to creating good gender data and generating good gender data, when it comes to climate change, and specifically worrying is that even on the standalone SDG, which is SDG 5, the world is not progressing fast enough. If we look more closely at Asia Pacific, which is what this visual focuses on, the regional index score for the region is 64.6. So out of the 5 regions, which is Latin America, Africa, Asia Pacific, Europe, and Sub-Saharan Africa, Asia Pacific falls in the middle of the 5 regions. The region is home to the overall index's top 25 performers. So Australia, Japan, New Zealand are doing very well when it comes to gender equality and progress on gender equality. But it does also have a lot of countries that are faring in the poorer range with respect to gender equality. So if we look at Indonesia a little more specifically, we know that Indonesia is in the top half of the countries in the Asia Pacific region, ranked at 11 out of the 23 countries in the region that are covered by the index, and is ranked 73 out of the 129 countries in the region that are covered by the index. In this visual, you can see that even though Indonesia's scores are on the lower side for a number of the SDG goals when it comes to gender equality, it's performing above average on many of the goals for the region. So if you look at SDG 5 specifically, which is right here, the 5th column on gender equality, it's only moderately above the regional average. The regional average is for Asia Pacific on achieving gender equality as part of the gender index is 56. And Indonesia is at the score of 57. The 2019 Gender Index includes 5 indicators which are relevant for gender equality on specifically SDG 5. Now, these issues and indicators were picked keeping data availability in mind. So these are issues where we do have a lot of data and good quality data available to be able to show where the countries are with respect to achieving gender equality on these issues. So if I look at these 5 issues which are a part of the gender equality SDG in the SDG Gender Index, Indonesia is ranked 65 globally and 12 in the region on the indicator of child, early and forced marriage, with an indicator score of 86.4. showing that there is significant room for improvement, and it's great to see that that our key government officials are so committed to that improvement. Indonesia is ranked 84 globally and 12 in the region on the indicator on perceptions of domestic violence, which is essentially the percentage of women who agree that a husband or a partner is justified in beating his wife or a partner under any circumstances. With an indicator score of 65.5, which is in the lower side of the index. Indonesia is ranked 75 globally and 11 in the region on the indicator on proportion of seats held by women in national parliaments, with an indicator score of 39.6, which is in the much lower side, and there is significant room for improvement on that. And lastly, Indonesia is ranked 38 globally and 2nd in the region on proportion of ministerial and senior government positions held by women, with an indicator score of 51.4, which also shows that there is room for improvement. So while it's clear that Indonesia is making significant progress on a lot of these gender equality issues that are linked to SDG 5, there is definitely more room for improvement and engagement. In addition to the SDG index, I wanted to very quickly share some highlights from a research that Equal Measures 2030 has recently done, which is the Bending the Curve research that enables all countries, all 129 countries that are part of our research, to understand the past and expected country progress on 5 key gender equality issues for 129 countries. So this research helps us as countries to answer 2 questions: that are we moving towards gender equality or in the positive direction or in the wrong direction, and what are the prospects for bending the curve to reach the gender equality promises laid out by the SDGs by 2030. So it essentially tries to, through a trend analysis mechanism, tells you that based on the past progress on a key gender equality theme, what would where would the country be in 2030 if they continue to progress at the pace, and how much faster do they need to move to be able to get to their target by 2030, which is what we have all committed to as a part of the Sustainable Development Goals framework. So the themes that this particular research covers are access to modern family planning, girls' completion of senior secondary education, the number of ministerial and senior governmental positions that are occupied by women, laws on workplace equality, which include laws like maternity leave, which include laws like equal pay, access to social protection mechanisms, and women's perception of safety, which is the number of women who said that they feel safe walking in public spaces around their homes and the areas that they visit. So essentially, this visual shows that even before COVID happened, the pace of progress on gender equality was slow. Countries are not moving fast enough, and at the current rate of progress, no country will be able to achieve all of these 5 issues that I mentioned, or even 4 of these 5 targets. Only 24 countries will achieve 2 out of the 5 targets, and 38 countries will achieve 1 out of the 5 gender equality targets if they continue to work at the current pace of progress. So I want to sort of highlight that even though this paints a picture that we're not doing enough, but there is actually hope. Across all the regions in the world, there are countries that are moving at an accelerated progress for a lot of these 5 key sort of gender equality issues and themes. And if countries are able to imitate that pace of progress and move at the same pace that fast-pacing countries are moving, then they will be able to achieve at least 5 of these sort of key gender equality themes by 2030. So if I look at specifically on family planning, and we know all of these 5 themes are critical to SDG 5, and it's only when women and girls have access to contraception, they're able to complete school, that they have equal access to work, and they feel safe in the workspace, and they feel safe in their community, that all of these have outcomes for equality for girls and women, and have outcomes for delaying age at marriage as well. So specifically on access to family planning, you can see that progress on access to family planning needs to accelerate globally by 3 times for us to be able to achieve gender equality. And at the current pace, if all countries continue to move at the current pace, we will only achieve this target by 2066. And if countries start matching the pace of countries that are moving very fast, then we will be able to achieve this by 2028. On girls' secondary school completion, we can see that again, we need to move 3 times faster to be able to achieve our target by 2030. Otherwise, we will only achieve it by 2063. On women in government ministerial roles, we have to move at least 2 times faster to be able to achieve our target before 2030. And if we don't, then globally, as in the world, we'll only be able to reach this target by 2066. The same is the case for workplace equality, which are essentially the introduction of laws that can ensure that women and girls have access to equal pay and have access to safe working environment. We need to accelerate our pace of achieving this by 2 times to make sure that we don't have to wait until 2051 to achieve this for women and girls in our community. And last but not the least is women's perception of safety in public spaces, which I want to highlight that this is a big concern for us globally, and also in the Asia Pacific region. Where we're actually seeing a negative trend here, where over the years we're seeing that more and more women are turning around and saying that they feel unsafe in public spaces, and they feel unsafe in their community. And at this pace of trend, we will not be able to ensure that all women and girls feel safe in public spaces before 2179, which is a completely unacceptable sort of time frame for us to work against. So to be able to ensure safety for all of our women and girls, we need to move at least 13 times faster to get there. And at the moment, nearly half of the women globally don't feel safe walking at night. and this figure has barely changed since 2006. In fact, safety worsened in nearly half of the countries between 2006 and 2018. In addition to that, if I do have, if like time permits, I would want to very quickly introduce everyone to a tool that we at Equal Measures have recently launched, which is called the Are We There Yet tool, which tells you whether countries will be able to achieve, whether your country will be able to achieve any of these 5 issues that I listed in your lifetime. So what this tool lets you do is, and I'll share the link to this tool as well, it asks you to put in your age. So I'm putting in a random age here. Once I put in the age, oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I just need to switch screens. Just give me a second. Are you able to see it now? Yes. Okay, great. So I wanted to very quickly introduce everyone to this tool, which is a new tool that we've launched this year. What this tool allows you to do is it allows you to put in your age, and then it tells you how much older or at what age you would be at where your country, so for us it could be Indonesia, would be able to achieve one of these, any of these sort of 5 key gender equality themes that I spoke about. And it tells you whether you would, in your lifetime, you'd be able to see gender equality achieved on these things. So I can simply put in my age here. It asks me to put my country. I put in Indonesia. It gives me the option of looking at 5 key issues. There is access to modern family planning, girls' completion of secondary education school, senior governmental positions held by women, laws on workplace equality, and women's perception of safety. So I go and click on to the access to family planning tool. This tells me I will be in my 90s. So if I'm 30 at the point, it will take at least 60 more years for my country to be able to get to achieving and ensuring that all women and girls have access to contraception, if pace of progress continues at the rate at which we've been moving. Not to say that this can't be changed. This can be accelerated with increased investment. So yeah, I'll put in the link to this tool, and you can go ahead and use this tool in your messaging. In addition to that, I wanted to highlight that all of the visuals that I used in the presentation today are available on our website, which is the Equal Measures 2030 Data Hub. I'll also add the link to that. There's some information that's also available in Bahasa, so you can go ahead and access that, and you can use a lot of these visuals in your reporting, and as you talk about gender equality in your country and in your region. Thank you so much.